What's going on, folks? This is your boy Diggy, and welcome back to another episode of Versus. So last time was a good one, man. We went with the new school cats. We did Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. In my review, Drake edged out Kendrick Lamar, and I was a little bit pissed about that because it was my own score chart that did him in. Don't fret for all you Kendrick Lamar fans out there. He did win the comment section last week, so you know, a win is a win. All right, enough about last time. This time we got something very special today. All right, so for those of you who haven't watched Versus before, let's head on over to the scorecard section so you can see how this head-to-head battle works. These categories are rhyme patterns, wordplay, lyrical content, voice, delivery, adaptability, catalog, album sales, and mass appeal. Each category is in a score of 1 to 10 other than album sales. With album sales, I award 2 points to the winner. Loser gets 0. Honestly, this week I've been kind of hesitating a little bit to put this out. I wasn't sure when I wanted to do this one. It's a really big one, but I figure, you know, last time we went with the new school, so let's go back to the old school and let's go back with a bang. For years, hip-hop has been bred and dominated in New York and the East Coast, but in the early 90s, the West Coast began to come up and make a name for themselves, and nobody was bigger and more influential than Tupac Shakur. Not to be outdone, the East Coast would crown themselves their own leader to take over in what would be one of the most controversial and biggest hip-hop battles of all time. No matter who wins and no matter who loses, I have the utmost respect for both of these guys. So without further ado, the icons, the legendary Tupac Shakur versus the notorious B.I.G. The rhyme patterns. Tupac gets an 8.9, Biggie a 9.2. Both of these guys have a style of their own when it comes to rhyme patterns, and they paved the way for other people who came after them. In this category, Biggie, man, when I first heard Biggie and his rhymes, the way that he bounces around the beat, it's just poetic, man. And the good thing about Biggie is he doesn't do too much. You know, sometimes there are cats that want to be so dope that they kind of overdo it. Biggie knew just when to say something. He knew when to put in his lines. He knew what beat to hit, what to fall back on. And it's just, he was legendary with that. And there's not too many people that could really do what Biggie did. And trust me, there have been a lot of people who have tried and they can't. The wordplay. Tupac 8.4, Biggie a 9. Pac was never really into wordplay that much. He was a very deep MC, and we'll get to that later. But as far as the actual wordplay, you know, making punchlines and that sort of thing, honestly, that really wasn't the style around that time, especially for West Coast hip hop. It was more just in your face, direct, I'm gonna say some crazy mess and you just gonna feel it type of stuff. Biggie, even though his wordplay is not the same as the way people do it now with the whole jokes, punchline type of, you know, wordplay, I feel like he was almost one of the pioneers that paved the way for the clever MC. There's been a lot of clever MCs throughout history, but as far as wordplay, it really didn't come into play until cats like Biggie, Jay-Z, you know, started, you know, the whole trend of playing with their words in that way. It's just not the same as it is, you know, in the current time. But again, we're talking about people who were at their prime about 20 years ago. So for what they were doing then, the style that they were doing then, it was great wordplay. The lyrical content. Tupac 9.5, Biggie 8.8. Pac, wow. I mean, who has better lyrical content than Pac? I mean, he was a leader just by speaking. People wanted to follow him to the grave, man. To this day, he's been dead for a long time, and people still quote Pac almost like scripture. There are classes that are taught at schools and colleges that treat Pac's lyrics, his rap lyrics, almost like they're Shakespearean, like it's poetry, and it is. If you can be a guy who can go from a song like Hit 'Em Up, you know, and then go to a song like Dear Mama, and both of them sound dope, you have a crazy range, man. Pac could really talk about anything and make it sound dope. Even in the lane that Biggie was in, he was very clever in that lane, but he didn't have the range that Pac had topically, so I gave Pac the overwhelming victory in this category. For voice, Tupac 9.6, Biggie 9.5. When you hear Tupac on an album or on a song, it don't matter who he's rapping with, man. You paid attention as soon as Tupac got on the beat. And the same thing with Biggie, man. Biggie's voice is so dominating that, you know, it was very rare for anybody to be on his song and to outshine him or even come close to him. But I gave Tupac the slight edge because I just feel like his voice is more powerful. He's just a more aggressive person by nature. He's a born leader. It's just, it is what it is. Both of them, you know, can run their own kingdoms, but Pac was dominating. For adaptability, Tupac 9.4, Biggie 8.9. Tupac, man, what couldn't he do? You know, when it comes to entertainment, I mean, the guy was just as great an actor almost as he was a rapper. You know, he could rap about a range of topics. He could be on a range of different beats, and he would rap with a lot of people. And it's almost like, what do you want from him? You don't really like the aggressive, you know, crazy Tupac? All right, well, here, let me give you the ladies man Tupac, you know what I mean? Oh, you don't like the ladies man Tupac? All right, let me give you the philosophical Tupac. You don't like that? All right, let me give you the suicidal Tupac. You know, he was almost like a chameleon, man. He would change from song to song. And don't get me wrong, Biggie was very adaptable. In the limited amount of time that we got to listen to his music, Give Me the Loot, like, just that song in itself, for him to like be different, almost different characters, and to go from this high-pitched voice to, you know, the Biggie voice, and then, you know, One More Chance to be smooth. I mean, he was very adaptable as well, but not as adaptable as Pac, in my opinion. And like I said, we don't have as big of a catalog with Biggie as we do with Pac, so he didn't get a chance to really adapt very much. Due to time constraints, Delivery was not filmed, but Tupac scored a 9.6, Biggie a 9.4. For catalog, Tupac scored 9.4, Biggie 9.3. Incredible catalogs, man, for both of these cats. They've got some of the greatest hits in hip-hop flat out. Biggie is with Puffy, and Puffy and his production team made Biggie, you know, legendary. But Pac in his prime was with Dr. Dre, who, in my opinion, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest producers of all time. And when you have one of the greatest MCs of all time rapping over one of the greatest producers of all time's beats, you cannot fail with that. Granted, I am from the West Coast, so maybe you might dock me off on that, but for my preference, Pac and Dr. Dre, I give them a slight edge. I just kind of prefer that a little bit more. Album sales are always a little bit sketchy, as I've always said, but according to most sources, Pac is somewhere around 75 million to almost 100 million albums sold. Biggie is around the 50 million mark. So, I mean, we're talking about crazy numbers as far as hip-hop albums go. But, you know, Pac has more albums sold, so we'll give him the 2 points on this. Yeah, for mass appeal, Tupac 9.6, Biggie 9.4. If you don't know who Tupac or Biggie is, you can't really say that you listen to rap. That's how big their impact is. Even if you don't, for some reason, know who either of these cats are, you have been influenced by them in some way, because your favorite rapper has been influenced by one or both of these cats. But I give Pac the edge in this because, to me, Pac, man, is a leader. Pac had a movement, man. He wasn't just talking about rap, man. He was a political activist, man. He was trying to change the culture of hip-hop and the culture of just urban life in general. And just people couldn't help but follow him. The way that Tupac spoke was almost dangerously potent. And some might still feel that that's partially the reason why Pac is no longer with us, is he was just so passionate and so intense about what he believed that in the end, it might have been his doing. Pac's strength is what made him who he is, and what made him, you know, relatable and almost inspiring to a ton of people. And so I have to give Pac the edge in this mass appeal category, because with all due respect to Biggie, Pac does have that much more mass appeal. So when it's all said and done, who is the winner of this head-to-head battle between the two icons? Well, up to this point, Tupac scores a 74.4, Biggie scores a 73.5, and with the 2-point bonus, that gives Tupac a 76.4, making him the winner of this classic episode of Versus. Now I want to hear from you guys. Who's your favorite MC? Who do you think is the one that contributed most to hip-hop and its culture? Leave that information in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it, man. I'll do a whole lot more of these Versus episodes. I've been working on my other channel, Diggy Jones, but I'm more than willing to keep going with this versus thing if you guys really feel it. And keep in mind, man, this is your show too, man. In the comments below, you can also just let me know what you think, man, who you want to be the next battle, and maybe I will. Anyway, that's all the time we got for this week. Join us next time where we'll take 2 more incredible MCs, battle them together, and see who comes out the winner. And until then, peace. Flip side.